touch up. Perfect. I'm gonna do something I've literally never done before because I'm gonna give you information on literally how to triple your business. Yes, especially if you have a beauty business within a couple of years. And this is the thing, I'm gonna preface it because I'm not gonna blow you know what up or you know what. Look, no two people are going to be exactly the same. Okay, so my experience is not going to be your experience, but I'm going to give you information based on statistics that I've also received from other professionals that are very high up in the industry that have helped me tremendously, and I feel like they're really going to help you. So let's start. Let us start. Shall we begin? Let us start with the basics of your beauty business. Maybe you are just getting started. Maybe you are into your beauty experience a couple of years. Maybe you've been doing it for a lot longer and you're getting really frustrated. Whatever the scenario is for you, universally, we do share some of the same things, and let me explain. The reason I know this is because I've been in the beauty industry my entire life. My mom was an at-home cosmetologist. We had basically this beauty shop attached to our home. And when I moved out and started my career, I started off as a makeup artist. Of course, this was out after doing many, many jobs from the age of 17 up until the time I started doing makeup. So, you know, there were no jump starts or extra resources or really any resources for me at the very beginning, believe it or not. Right now you have everything at your fingertips, at your disposal, all the gurus, all the online stuff, all the information for free. Back then, I literally had to buy a little $20 book off of Amazon, teach myself how to make cosmetics, do makeup, build up my own word of mouth business. After a few years, I built up a successful makeup business doing makeup, did that for a decade before I got my aesthetics license. A decade later, now I am a beauty creator. So as you can tell from this very short period of time with you together today, and there have been no shortcuts. I did not come from a rich family. In fact, I dropped out of school let me start over. I dropped out of school. You're like, girl, I know you did. From the age of 17, okay? And I later on put myself through college, blood, sweat, and tears, through film school because it was something I was really passionate about. But more than that, it was really something I feel like I needed for my self-esteem, especially after dropping out of school, to really prove to myself that I could do whatever I set my mind to do and out to do, and it didn't matter the resources that I started with. I really wanted to prove that to me. And that was one of the reasons I went to college, because I thought this is something they can't take away from me. Granted, I had to take 3 remedial math classes. I'm not saying it was easy, but I am proud of the fact that I was able to accomplish that on my own. And this was while I was actually doing my makeup thing, while I was establishing myself as a makeup artist here in Austin, Texas. But back in the day, it was basically just Google. Like I didn't pay for anything. I had a website built and I literally started doing jobs, and everything I got was through word of mouth. So I'm huge on word of mouth. I think that's one of the #1 things that you can do. But if you're like me and you don't have shortcuts and you don't have extra resources and extra money and all extra time and all this other stuff, and maybe you're like me and you've had to work 3 jobs yourself for various lengths of time in your life, then this is for you. And not only am I going to help kind of guide you through with these vlogs, whatever you want to call what we're doing here together, I'm just here to help you, share with you what I know from my beauty experience. So whether you've been thinking about it or you've been in the thick of it or you are feeling discouraged, I'm here to let you know that you are not alone. I feel like that's so important as beauty professionals for us to, especially in our community, to be forthright and honest and transparent with each other, because regardless of what type of business you are in, there are ups and downs. But especially in this beauty world where everything is aesthetically pretty, I feel like things fall under the assumption that everything is just always shiny and sexy. And to be honest with you, to the contrary, it's actually the opposite. It's blood, sweat, tears, hard work. Even the stuff you see on social media, if for 1 second you look at videos and you're like, oh, it's like, that girl is doing that and she's just got a bunch of views because she's pretty. Maybe, but maybe it's because she also works her you know what off, which is definitely what I do. I work my you know what off. So that content that you see for 15 seconds may have taken me all day long to shoot, and I may post it and think that it's I've done some type of great film project, and then it gets like a few hundred views and and then other ones I film and when I'm not feeling good and I've got to film something and I film it in like 10 seconds and then it gets like 500,000 views. So I digress. What I am trying to say to you is that there are no shortcuts. But I'm going to tell you what I did and what I think can really help you increase your income exponentially. It's something that helped me triple my income within 2 years. Not joking, not over exaggerating. And in conjunction with this, I went from a brick and mortar to working online. And most people do it the opposite way, right? They go from their garages to the brick and mortar. We went from the brick and mortar to the garage. Literally, right before the pandemic, or as the pandemic approached us, we were supposed to get a new location. The location fell through, pandemic happened. And you know the rest of the story because you were there with me every day. Like, what's going to happen? How can we pivot, as the bloggers love to say? Boy, those podcasters. I had a podcast myself for a couple years, so I'm speaking from experience. They love to use certain words. Have you ever heard those words over and over and over? And pivot was one of them. So yes, I was among the people that were trying to pivot and throw spaghetti on the wall and see what works and what doesn't. And sometimes, my friend, that's just a part of the process too. Like, you have to fail in order to understand what works. You have to fail to understand what it is you actually want to do. Because most of the time, the idea of what you think something is versus the reality is very, very different. Yes, it's very different. So, look, you might be, I don't know where you are right now. Maybe you're a makeup artist and you're wanting to pivot and create your own makeup line. Maybe you are an esthetician, or you're just starting out as an esthetician and thinking about starting your own skincare line. There are so many things under the umbrella of the beauty space, and the beauty of it is, no pun intended, or pun intended, is that there is room for everyone. That's one piece of advice I want to give you right now, because I know it feels like there's not the space for you because it's so oversaturated with beauty stuff, and we have like every single celebrity under the sun now starting their own beauty line, and you're like, well, how the hell am I going to be able to compete with Kim Kardashian or J-Lo or Hailey Bieber or whatever it is, or Selena Gomez? And so the truth is that you're not ever going to compete with those people. Let me say it one more time. You are not going to compete with J-Lo. It's just something you're not going to do. But what you can do is be authentically you. And what I mean by that, without the risk of sounding cheesy, or with the risk of sounding cheesy, is that you are going to flourish. You're going to shine. You are going to make your way in this world because of you and your connection to the people, the specific people within your niche that you serve. And you might be like, Jentri, but do I have to have a niche? Yes, you have to have a niche. That doesn't mean you can't be multi-passionate, as Marie Forleo likes to say, but honestly, if you're not niching down, then, like they say, if you're speaking, what does she say? Marie says, if you're speaking to everybody, you're speaking to nobody. I truly believe that is the case. And so with my experience, I'm going to use my experience as an example. I help women over 40 restore their skin. And I can do that because, one, I've been in the beauty industry for 25 years. Two, I am my own demographic, so I understand my skin. I have had my own skin challenges and they continue to change. along with my demographic over 40 who loses collagen and elastin and hyaluronic acid and those things as we age. And also, I've worked on a lot of skin. So I have a lot of experience to bring to the table within this niche. And I am never going to compete with these big names. So if you start falling under that umbrella of comparison, my friend, it will be the death of you. So that is another huge point of advice I would like to give you right now today before I give you the biggest piece of advice. And then we're going to say goodbye for today until next time. And I promise, if you like what I am saying to you, please like and subscribe to my channel as a side note, because this gives me an opportunity to continue to serve you more. And that is also one of my passions, is to be able to share what I've learned over my last 25 years with you. And I've got so many pieces to the puzzle that I'm going to put together with you, help you. Now, I'm never going to tell you what to do. I'm going to give you these puzzle pieces, and I'm going to guide you so that you can create your own masterpiece, okay? Your own masterpiece. But this is something huge. This is something huge, before I get too off track, that I want to share with you today. And that is, now I'm going to go back for 2 seconds here and tell you, this is how I'm qualified, besides my 25 years of beauty experience, to give you this information. I do have a degree, but it's in film. I've lived many lives. I've been a ghost hunter. You can Google it. True story. I have been everything: a makeup artist, the beauty creator, esthetician, all of these things. And this is the deal. Whenever we did our pivot, our transition, our pivot from brick and mortar to online, there were a lot of adjustment periods. Sometimes it felt like we were just trying to stay afloat, just trying to get our lips above water. It was painful throwing spaghetti on the wall. A couple of things I did during my pivot was that I started to consume content that I felt like was valuable to me. And one of the things I did was I took B School. This is not an ad for B School, by the way, but I did. I took B School because I thought, I've been to the traditional school, but I never took any marketing classes. I love writing. Copywriting, is so essential to your business. By the way, there's another little pro tip for you. It's very essential to your business. So let me, while I have the time during quarantine, go to this B School and see what else I might be able to learn. During my experience in B School, I signed up because I had been a long-term fan of Kris Carr. If you don't know who she is, Google her. She's amazing. Kris Carr. Kris Carr. Because I was a film major, she had put out a documentary called Crazy Sexy Cancer many, many years ago. It was a great documentary. I loved it. From that moment on, like 20 something years ago, however long it was, I was a fangirl of Kris Carr. And Kris Carr, it turns out I had no idea, except until until a few years ago when I took B School, that Kris Carr and Marie Forleo were BFFs. And I was just like, what? Seriously, that's cool. So I took B School under Kris Carr because, different people that are affiliating for her, you sign up under them and you get bonus sign up stuff from signing up under whoever you sign up for with. And so I signed up under Kris Carr because I loved her. I wanted whatever bonus material I was going to get from Kris Carr for signing up with B School. So long story short, I go to B School. It was a great experience, but I was in the thick of my own head. Have you ever been like that? You're in the thick of thinking. You're thinking so much that you're like, you're so muddied down with thoughts, and it's so overwhelming. And you're consuming content, and you can't consume anymore. I was like at that point, and I was like, I just need to meditate and let the answers come to me because I cannot consume anymore. And I was listening to a podcast one time, and this is also a little side note, is that the podcaster said, you can either create content or you can consume it. Basically, that's what she said in a nutshell. And I thought, all I'm doing is consuming. Let me start creating. I was so scared of creating and failing that I was just consuming. So if you ever feel like that, my best piece of advice to you is to just start creating. If you're scared to film stuff, just start filming. Don't be bogged down with oh my God, am I gonna film it exactly right? Am I gonna have the right light? Am I gonna have the right this and that? And I don't have the right camera. And I'm not interested enough. Stop, like Mel Gibson says, stop talking yourself out of shit, can I say that? In 3 seconds. Like, stop, just start doing something. And when you start doing something, you start moving, it kind of takes you out of the way of that anxiety, and you just start creating. And again, by failure, we learn what works, what doesn't. So I signed up for B School, went to B School, and then got the bonus material with Kris Carr. And luckily, or lucky for me, I should say, I got to take one of her business classes that she offered. It was like a 2-week business class. It was on Facebook, and it was awesome. It was awesome. It almost made me feel like that 2 weeks was more valuable than all the other time that I had spent taking other courses. I even took this other course before that called Retail Revolution. This was right before the pandemic, when I thought my products might be more into retail. And so that was a long 3-month course, very involved, but then we had to pivot again. And the Marie Forleo class, it was very helpful, but I almost felt like the Kris Carr section, that business coaching class, was more valuable because it was small. It was very small. It was like several hundred people instead of several 100,000 people. And it gave me a chance to get more intimate with the people, my peers, as well as the people who were kind of leading the group. So I take this course, and during the course of those 2 weeks, Kris Carr, she had picked 2 or 3 people to review their business, and we would have these like conference calls, and we would all be on the calls, and it would be like where you can see them on a Zoom, but they can't see you, that kind of thing. And I was one of the few businesses that they selected out of the hundreds of people to review and analyze. And it was literally the most valuable experience in my entire life, because it was like me having a one-on-one with one of my favorite people in the entire world, who's a business genius, guru, wellness guru really, but also has a lot of business genius wrapped up in her wellness guru-ness, because she's been in business. It is a wellness business after all, for so many years. And she gave me the single piece of advice that helped me triple my business within 2 years. So I'm going to share that with you right now. And that is that video is 7 times more likely to be watched, consumed than other forms of content. Now, if you are not a video person, meaning you are scared to death to be on video, there are other ways to get around this. You can hire someone to help you. You can do like what I did. I'm a big time introvert, and it might not seem like that because I'm talking to you so fluidly and so openly right now and candidly, and I'm not having anxiety about it, but I have trained myself. Okay, I have trained myself because I have my brand. And if you are a brand and you are your own brand, I highly recommend that you train yourself, which means you have to practice speaking on video. I don't care if you do it by yourself, do it with a friend. I think sometimes it's more fun to do with someone else, but it doesn't matter if you get on a live and only have 1 viewer. That happened to me when I first started doing lives. Before I got my 100,000 people on TikTok, I would do lives and literally have 1 to 3 people the entire time. And I just thought, you know what, let me consider this. Let me act like these are 3 people in front of me in my brick and mortar store. Because if I had 3 people in front of me in my brick and mortar store, you could bet your booty I would be on point, on my game. I would be like trying to connect with them, understand them, ask them questions, help them, serve them with their needs. So what would be the difference if I had 1 to 3 people in front of me like you right now? Okay, watching this YouTube video? There's not. So you need to really flip the script in your head, and you need to understand and take advantage of being on video. So one thing, and if you know for sure that video is not your thing, you can hire someone to do video stuff for you, social media stuff, or I'm sure there's other things that you can massage, marinate on, where you can still use video to your advantage. But video is one of the #1 things that I would recommend. And it also helped me so tremendously I'm not joking, triple my business. Now, did it happen overnight? Obviously not. Was there one thing that I did? Obviously not. I practiced and practiced more. I started to do videos. I didn't do videos with going viral in mind, although secretly we all want to go viral, right? But I wasn't trying to go viral. I was focusing on my audience. So if you have a beauty audience, really think about who you are talking to. Use that verbiage to communicate with them the way that they communicate. You're not, an example, you're not going to speak to a 20-year-old the same way that you speak to a 40 or 60-year-old, right? Because we come from different backgrounds, we have different language, sometimes literally different language. We don't even all speak English, right? I mean, there's so many. I have my partner in here who is Italian, so his first language is not English. Think about who you are talking to. That is my point. Who are you talking to? And then I want you to figure out a way to be involved somehow with video to get your message across, because that is how you are going to connect the most. Your face, especially like I was saying, if you are the brand, like I'm the brand of Jentri Quinn Makeup and Skin, I could pay models and people all day long to do videos with me. They're not going to connect with my audience the way that I'm going to connect. They're also not going to understand the needs the way I am. They're just going to be like a hired hand, right? And you need to understand who it is you're serving and what it is they want. And the only way you're going to know is if you throw the spaghetti on the wall, if you make the videos, and then you see what performs, right? I always say I'm only as good as my last video. I joke. But sometimes that's truly the way that I feel. I'm only as good as my last video, because you constantly, it's like an eating machine. You know, you make the video and like you put it out into the ether and it gets whatever it gets, and you got to make new content. It will never stop. But it is something that can also work in perpetuity for you. If you ever seen Shark Tank, perpetuity is like the name of the game. That's all they talk about is perpetuity. That just means that something keeps working after you create it and can hopefully make you money, right? Whether it's an ad, and again, a good way to figure out what a good ad might be is to actually make content. If it gets a lot of views, if the algorithm shows you that it actually cares, that means you've got a good piece of content. You could even use that as an ad. That being able to be on video and being able to organically drive traffic to the site was essential, because you have to have traffic to your site before you can target or retarget an audience and make money. You cannot just build a website and just they will come. Anybody who tries to tell you that, or if you're telling yourself that because you feel like it's something you're in control of that you can handle, is misleading you. And that's not to say your website isn't important. It's extremely important. In fact, your website should serve as like your store. Your website is like walking into your store. You have to put a lot of resources and time and commitment into how you want to make someone feel when they go to your website. But my point is that people aren't just going to flood into your website whenever you get it operational and perfect. And likely they're going to leave in the first few seconds, because that's just how it is. And likely they're going to need to come back several times before they buy from you. I tell you all of this because I don't want to blow smoke up your rear. I want you to understand it takes work, it takes commitment, it takes insight, it takes patience, it takes all the things to be a small business owner, especially in the beauty industry. We do a lot of stuff, you know, we have to meet ourselves where we are. We do a lot of stuff ourselves. We wear a lot of hats, and you are likely going to have to do the same thing. And even if you had the money to take a lot of the shortcuts, I mean, I might say good for you, but at the same time, I don't feel like that's really helpful. In a lot of cases, I feel like you almost have an advantage whenever you have to kind of grind and claw to the top. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that that's just how you learn. So give yourself a little grace. Understand there's going to be like this ebb and flow thing. There's going to be years where it goes like this. So there's going to be different seasons. Whenever you have those different seasons, just try, it's very hard, but just try to remember all of the seasons that were on the incline instead of a decline, and just go back to the basics, connect with your audience, do the things that got you to the place that you were before. And I feel inclined, I can't make any promises, but I feel like if you put all of those things together, the sum of all of those things that you do over a long period of time with doing video that's 7 times more consumed will be your secret sauce. It doesn't mean that's the end all be all, you stop there. It just means that it's a great opportunity to really, really increase your sales. And I know it's definitely increased ours. So I hope this information was helpful. If you have questions, drop them below. I plan on making lots and lots of videos like this for you in the future. This is the first video I've ever made like this. And I want to continue to make more of them. So like and subscribe to my channel. And remember, my friend, the more you know, the more you glow. Ciao for now.